Today we are here on Girls Just Want to Sell Houses
and have fun.
and have fun. So today we're talking about inspections. Woo-woo. There is a lot to it. You know, there's some things that are very obvious, and then there's some things that are not as obvious, and not a lot of people do, but they are options. And we want to talk about your options because we want a buyer to go into a house and be as confident as they can. You know, there's never guarantees.
No.
But if we can help you with your confidence, if there's any concerns, we want to tell you how there are ways to maybe mitigate some of those concerns.
So we're going to talk about home inspections, right? So everyone sees home inspections and they get scared and whatnot. And basically this is my advice. It is just a report of your home, your potential home. It's not to scare you. It's just to make you more aware of what's going on. And a lot of people get that confused where, you know, they nitpick certain small details because they think it's just they need it all done or they're not going to purchase the home. But I always flip it and say, if you were to have a home inspection on the current home you live in, you would find numerous things too that you're unaware of. And that's what inspectors do. They go in and they look for things that we can't see with our natural eye. That's hence why they're the professionals. But we'll just talk about the general ones. So in your contract, an offer or accept an offer, there'll be many options for different types of inspections. Also, depending on the type of loan you have to have certain ones as well. But the most popular and the one that everyone knows, I shouldn't say popular, but is a home inspection. So general home inspection, yes. A home inspector will come, you will pay for that service. I always tell the buyers to make sure you follow them around, answer any and all questions that you have because you are paying for that service. So with that being said, they usually check the water pressure. And if I'm forgetting something, I'm sure I will, but water pressure, the roof, see how that looks, the exterior, drainage, they look for if the AC works, the heat, they look at years of things, they run all the appliances. Oh my gosh, all kinds of stuff.
Electricity.
Yeah, if the garage door opener works.
They double check to make sure that it doesn't look like a lot of places have it. Water intrusion abilities, so caulking inside and out, you know, in the bathrooms and things like that. Make sure GFCIs are tripping when they're supposed to. Making sure that there's nothing, you know, the panels look good in the electrical, if they can get to it.
Yeah. It's always a bonus if they're labeled too.
Right. They're checking out the furnace, the air conditioning.
Just the major components, I guess it would be safe to say.
Yes, and that's actually what Melissa was kind of talking about. As is or not, this is going to be my little high horse that I'm going to get up on. No matter if it is in the contract, it always said an inspection was about big items. It wasn't, hey, you have paint over here that I don't like, or this is an outdated thing. Yes, cosmetic things. I don't like the way that this faucet is. Okay, well, you go and do it.
It's functioning.
As long as it's functioning, and that's what it matters. And that does, and that's a great point, Melissa, because just because the furnace is past its useful life, or because the water heater is past its useful life, does not mean that you, even if it's not an as-is house that you are buying, does not mean that you are entitled to it. You are entitled to a working, functioning one if it is in the contract that you have one. You know, there's a spot where you do a whole bunch of checking of what you expect to stay in the house, and refrigerator is part of the deal, and it's not working, that's one thing. But if it's something that you want the newest bells and whistles one where you can talk to it, and this one is 15 years old, again,
you're going to have to buy the bells and whistle one.
Yes, yourself. Right. Take that in consideration. And that's part of it. You know, you should take that into consideration when deciding if this is the house for you initially.
Right.
So, and we both are huge proponents to this general inspection.
Oh, yes.
We know that sometimes it is tempting, you know, unless you are yourself a general contractor or somebody who has all of the people out there who can do it. And even then, I really still want you to have an inspection.
I always say it's your choice, right? It's my professional opinion that you get one. If you tell me that you do not want one, I'm going to make you sign a piece of paper saying that I told you that you need to get one, because I think they're very important.
Very important.
Yeah.
And again, it's for a it's about peace of mind. I want you to walk into that house after you've closed every day, enjoying the fact that you are there, not seeing that electrical issue
Yeah.
or whatever going, oh.
Well, on the flip side of that too, even if you're buying a house as is or whatever deal you work out, or everyone's situation is different, obviously, it's also a good base to have to know, okay, well, when we had inspection, they said I need to change this outlet. I'm just throwing things out there, So you have it as a base. So every time you do a little upgrade or something, or which ones need to be addressed
Absolutely.
promptly after you moved in, stuff like that.
That's
so
that's
good.
best case scenario. My honey-do list is already there. I make lists all the time, and now I don't even need to. I can just
you have a
here
list.
it is.
Or add it to a bigger list.
Yes, well,
Yes.
of course, always.
Yes. So there are several types of inspections, not just the general overall home inspection. We'll go into all of them briefly. There's, for anyone, would be radon. You want to have your radon levels tested prior to moving in. So radon is a natural gas that comes from the soil.
Any testing 4.0 and
And
above
higher,
is considered high.
yes.
In Illinois, because it is a gas that comes from limestone, I believe it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Oh, I
and
just
we
never
have a
came
lot
up
of
with
limestone.
So-
Well, we have limestone in our soil around
Mm-hmm.
here, I guess, a lot, and so that's where it comes from, and so that's why it's a very popular inspection to have in the Chicagoland and upper
Yeah.
Illinois area.
But it's good to have anyway.
Right.
Because-
And I'll tell you what, here's the thing. It is something that after, I think 2004, 2005, that is required to have what they call a passive system in a house to kind of help mitigate some of it. But to have an active system, you have to put in a fan, you have to put in something a little bit more. So sometimes if radon's high, it's not as, sometimes it's as easy as just putting in this fan. Sometimes you do have to cut a hole if there's a basement. Usually it's, in the basement, but it's about getting it up and out.
Right.
So they put it up and then out of your
So
house.
just to the side of your house with a fan. I have one.
Or the
in
top
my
of your
home.
house,
Yep.
depending on,
However
wherever
they
it
deem it
needs to go.
necessary to figure it out.
Correct.
But
So-
it is an important inspection. I always recommend
Yes.
that. It is an added cost. All these are added costs to a buyer, but I think it's well worth the $230 or whatever they charge. I just had one and it was $230, but I think it's well worth the cost just to find out. And then you could always ask the seller, depending on your contract situation, you could always ask the seller to mitigate that, and you have peace of mind when you move in.
So it is a disclosure, a separate disclosure,
It
which is
is,
why it
for
is
sure.
kind of like the second most important thing, because you have one disclosure that has like 24 different items on there, that a lot of those items are covered in a general inspection. But then you have a second disclosure that is a radon disclosure in our area, and that's why it kind of triggers some people to have get a test. But that being said, and I forgot to say this as I was starting, is that just because your radon's low today does not mean it's going to be high. It's going to be
Won't
low
be high, yeah. In 2 years from now.
3 weeks.
Yeah, that
So
too.
it is kind of volatile thing. There are some, obviously if you have a mitigation
Okay.
system, they often do help with keeping it low. But
Like
it
with
is
my
one of those
system, I have to
things.
test it every 2 years.
Yes. So even with a system, you have to
Yep.
make sure it's still working.
Yep.
If it's not a system, even if you don't have a system, but you had a test and it was low, sometimes the amount of rain there is, or if there's a lot of humidity, or if it wasn't tested correctly and doors and windows and stuff were opened and closed more often than they should have, those could all kind of help. But that is kind of part of the mitigation too, is that part of the reason you usually see them high in basements is that there isn't that ability to
Have it
allow the
move out.
gases to release, so it starts to build up. But anyway,
All kinds
that's
of things
radon.
that your radon
we have a
inspector will give you.
really not interesting. Let's be honest, it's not interesting, but it's informative.
Yes.
We have a radon pamphlet to share
course.
all of the
I'll
ins
give
and
all
outs.
my buyers a
EPA,
radon, yes.
the Illinois EPA
Yes.
has done that.
Which is why it's very important to have a buyer consultation with any new buyer, for me and for you as well, because you go through all these things.
Absolutely.
But the next one would be lead-based paint. So if you are purchasing a home, anything built prior to 1978 could have lead-based paint in there. So that's why that is a mandated disclosure too here in Illinois. You'll get that. The seller will say if they have any knowledge or not. And then you always have 10 days to perform your own lead test. Or you could hire a service. It's your preference, but I definitely recommend that one as well.
And actually, lead-based paint is the reason, if anybody ever talks about, FHA inspections
Appraisals.
FHA appraisals. Gosh, FHA appraisals are so bad because they are so critical. Well, one of the critical things that an FHA appraisal
Looks
and
for. Yeah.
VA does as well is they look for chipping paint or things like that
Health and
because
safety items, yeah.
because of the threat of lead-based paint.
Yeah.
And that's interior and exterior. So it's not just walls or trim or things like that. It is, you know, soffits and siding and things like that that might have been painted. If there is signs of peeling or chipping, that is a concern because of lead-based paint. The next one that is also on our contract is well and septic. Now, this is obviously not conducive for every home because there are some that are on city or public sewers and well systems, but this is the homes that are have their own separate. That is in our contract. Sometimes you can ask the sellers. That is what the contract says, but you can also perform it by yourself.
Anything can be negotiated.
If you're
these
trying
days, right?
yeah, if you need to and you want to do it yourself, and you don't want the sellers to do it or ask, pay for it, that is the ability. And obviously it is, it's making sure that it's
Working
retaining
properly. Yeah.
that, because I'll tell you what, some of these older homes had cisterns and things like that where, it was just about a system of letting it fall down, go down to the next place. It wasn't, a tank that was holding things or a really stable place. And the last thing you want is failing well or failing septic. I
feel like those are important to have done for sure.
Yes. Because again, just like we wouldn't want somebody to not have an inspection for general inspection. The idea of not knowing the safety of and the ability to do its functions on the well and septic.
Yeah, you just want to make sure everything's
important.
functioning properly. Again, whatever your situation is, you just want to know upfront costs that is going to be added to when you move in and all that good stuff. But yeah, I would definitely recommend if you are purchasing a home that is on well and septic to get a well and septic test.
Absolutely. One of the last things in our contract is termite.
Yes.
So again, or wood infesting.
Wood destroying insects,
Yes,
or
exactly.
pests or whatever.
But basically termites. And that
Right.
is another, one of those things where when people are worried about the different types of appraisals out there, it is required by the VA to have termite inspection. And so that has become pretty popular to have in contracts across the United States. And ours is no different. And that is, again, an option for the buyer or the buyer to ask the seller to perform a termite inspection. And that's obviously to make sure that you're structurally sound.
Yeah. No bugs eating it.
And of course,
costly.
yes, you would think, okay, I might be able to, not as being just a random buyer, not me, the inspector or agent, but even that, going in circles. My point is that, yes, obviously sometimes you can visibly see termite damage, but sometimes there's early signs that no casual person would be able to figure out or know. And of course, that's the best time to find it was when it's early and before there's major damage.
For sure.
So, and then that even could be in the outside too. There's definitely cedar planks and things like that, siding that people have that could show signs. So it's not just about,
who knows?
It's not.
That's why you hire a professional for everyone. And Danielle, between the two of us, we have amazing contacts that could walk you through any scenario. Obviously, get a professional. I'm a matchmaker and a negotiator. And everyone else is in their lane and help you out. But all these things I do recommend, again, depending on your contract scenario. So those are all the pertinent ones that are listed on our contract here in Illinois. But next week we could go into talking more about mold. There's so many inspections. Mold inspection, sewer inspection, environmental inspections, pest inspections, water quality,
pool,
chimney inspection. Oh yes, my favorite,
pool,
the pool,
like anything,
hot tubs. I mean, I guess that would all fall underneath the same realm. Asbestos, structural. Did we talk about structural at all? No, we'll talk about that one next week.
We will.
There's just so much. That's why partnered with a great realtor is key for you.
We'll walk you through it all.
Yeah.
So see you on the next video then.
Yeah. See you later.